You're listening to Signal Lost, original alien fiction. New story every week. I'm glad you found the frequency.
People assume that night shifts in a hospital are frightening. They are not. They are boring. That is the part nobody tells you. The long hours between 2 and 5 in the morning are not full of drama and emergencies. They are full of silence and fluorescent light, and the small mechanical sounds of machines doing their patient, repetitive work. You learn to live inside that quiet. You learn to find it comforting. I worked the night shift at St. Oberon's Regional for 6 years. It was a small hospital, 40 beds, 1 ward, a skeleton crew overnight. My job was monitoring. I sat at the central station. I watched the vitals on the board. I logged readings every hour, and I responded if anything changed. Most nights, nothing changed. My name is Daniel Okafor. I am 38 years old. I do not work nights anymore. I do not work at St. Oberon's at all anymore. And what I am going to tell you is the reason why. I have never told this story in full. The people I have told pieces of it to have responded in ways that taught me to stop telling it. But I think some of you will understand. I think some of you have heard something you were not supposed to hear on a channel that was not supposed to carry it. If that is you, then you already know how this feels. Let me tell you about the radio. Every ward at St. Oberon's had an intercom system. It was old, installed sometime in the 80s, never upgraded because it worked, and hospitals do not replace things that work. It ran on a closed internal circuit. Each ward could speak to the central station and to the other wards. That was all it could do. It could not receive any external broadcast. It was not connected to anything outside the building. It was, in the most literal sense, a closed system. I want you to hold on to that fact because everything that follows depends on it. There was no antenna, no external line, no way for any signal from outside the hospital to reach that intercom. I checked this later. I had the maintenance supervisor check it. I had an electrician check it. The system was sealed. It could only carry sound that originated inside the building. I kept it on low through the night. Most night staff did. The faint background hum of the open channel was company. Sometimes you would hear the other wards, a nurse moving a trolley, a murmured conversation, the ordinary sounds of a building breathing in its sleep. The first time I heard the voice was a Tuesday in February, 3:17 a.m. I remember the time because I had just logged the 3 o'clock readings and was watching the clock, the way you do on a slow night, waiting for the hours to drain away. The hum of the intercom changed. Not loudly. It deepened. The way a sound deepens when a room you did not know was empty turns out to have someone in it. And then, underneath the static, very calm and very clear, a voice said, "Room 4 is cold." I assumed it was the night nurse on the East Ward. We had a patient in room 4, an elderly man, Mr. Aldis, recovering from a fall. Cold could have meant anything: a draft, a complaint, a request to check on him. I keyed the intercom and asked the East Ward to repeat. There was a pause. Then the East Ward nurse, her name was Priya, answered, sounding puzzled. She had not said anything. She had been at her own station the whole time. She asked if I was all right. I said I must have misheard. I logged it as nothing. Static on an old system. These things happen. But I went to check on Mr. Aldis anyway. Something about the word cold had unsettled me in a way I could not justify. He was fine, sleeping, his vitals normal on the board. But the room was cold, noticeably unpleasantly cold, far colder than the corridor outside it, colder than the thermostat setting could explain. I noted it, adjusted the heating, and went back to my station, telling myself it was a faulty vent. Mr. Aldis died 4 days later. Suddenly, a cardiac event that none of his monitoring had predicted. The board showed nothing until the moment it showed everything. I did not connect the two things at the time. Why would I? I connected them 3 weeks later, when the voice came back.
3:17 a.m. Always 3:17. I started watching for it. The second time, the voice said, "Room 7 is cold." This time I did not key the intercom. I did not call Priya. I sat very still and I looked at the board. Room 7 was occupied by a woman named Mrs. Caro. Post-operative, stable. Her vitals were normal. Everything about her chart said she would go home that week. I went to her room. It was cold. The same wrong, deep cold as Mr. Aldis's room had been. Mrs. Caro died 2 days later. A pulmonary embolism. Sudden. Unpredicted. I want to be very clear about my state of mind at this point, because I know how it sounds. I was not hysterical. I was not sleep-deprived to the point of hallucination. I was a competent, experienced nurse who was beginning to understand that the intercom in my hospital was telling me, in advance, which of my patients were going to die. And it was never wrong. Over the next 2 months, the voice named 4 more rooms, each time at 3:17 a.m. Each time a room that was cold. Each time a patient the board said was stable. And each time, within days, that patient died, suddenly, unpredictably, of something no monitoring had caught. I stopped logging it. I did not know how to log it. What would I have written? I made a decision that I have thought about every day since. I decided to answer it. On a Tuesday in May, I had begun to notice it favored Tuesdays. I sat at the station at 3:16 a.m. with my hand near the intercom key. At 3:17, the hum deepened. The voice came through, calm and clear as always. "Room 2 is cold." And I keyed the intercom, and I said, "Who is this?" The static held for a long moment, longer than felt natural. I had the distinct sense, I cannot describe it any other way, of something turning its attention toward me, of having been a passive recipient of these messages and having just made myself something else, something noticed. Then the voice said my name. Daniel. Not as a question, as a greeting, as if it had been waiting a long time for me to finally speak, and was pleased that I had. I did not key the intercom again. I sat frozen with my hand over the key, and the voice continued, in the same calm and patient tone, and it told me 3 things. It told me the name of my mother, who had died when I was 9, and which I had told no one at that hospital. It told me the exact words that had been on a note I had written and burned 20 years earlier, alone, that no living person had ever read. And then it told me the date. A date, some months away at the time. It did not explain what the date meant. It did not need to. By then, I understood exactly what kind of information this voice dealt in. It was telling me when my room would be cold. I left St. Oberon's the following week. I did not give a dramatic reason. I said I was burned out, which was true enough, and night shift turnover is high, so no one questioned it. I handed in my badge. I never went back into that building. But leaving did not undo what I had heard.
The date the voice gave me did not change because I changed employers. I have it written down. I am not going to tell you what it is. I will only tell you that it has not yet arrived and that I think about it every single day, and that I have made a kind of peace with it that I am not sure is really peace at all. 2 things happened after I left. The first, I went to my doctor for a full examination, telling myself it was sensible, telling myself I was being proactive. During the examination, the doctor paused and asked me how long I had had the mark on the back of my neck. I did not know what she meant. She photographed it for me. Small, precise, geometric. 3 lines converging to a single point. I have no memory of how it got there. It has not faded. The second, a letter arrived. No stamp, no postmark. Pushed under my door in the night. 1 sheet of paper. 1 number in plain black ink. 1033.7. I do not own a radio that receives AM. I have made sure of that. I do not want to find out what is on that frequency at 3:17 in the morning, because I think I already know. I think it is the same voice, and I think it is still reading the board. My name is Daniel Okafor. For 6 years, I sat at a station in the quiet hours, and I watched a board that told me how my patients were doing. Heart rate, breathing, the steady electronic proof that a person is still here. I used to find that board comforting. I understand now that all it was ever measuring was the time someone had left. That every one of us is a set of readings on a board somewhere, steady and green, right up until the moment we are not. That somewhere, something patient is watching that board, reading it, knowing which rooms will be cold before the cold arrives. The voice never frightened me with how much it knew. It frightened me with how calm it was about it. The way you are calm about something only when you have seen it a great many times before. The way a doctor is calm. The way someone is calm when the outcome was never in question. My name is Daniel Okafor, and this was my signal.
Signal lost. New story every week. Have you heard the frequency?